Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I know it's not my normal day to do this, but happy Friday. Doing a makeup one because I missed Tuesday for uh, giving blood for my annual physical. But today we got the 3-day weekend, so that's exciting. There's a Hell Week that starts this week. That's exciting. And I have a tip for you guys that will drop 1 minute, actually, two things. I don't like to use the word tip because it's. Anyway, two things that will help you drop 1 minute off your CSS. And before I get into that, let's talk about this Hell Week that's coming up. So, uh, every month and a half, 2 months, there is a Hell Week that occurs in SEAL training. It's the fourth week of training, and it's pretty much a brutal week, but it is really a synopsis of what has occurred the first 3 weeks. So imagine these first 3 weeks full of running, swimming, PT, running with boats, paddling boats, getting through the surf zone, going over rocks, carrying a boat on land on your head, running with logs, doing log PT, doing all that stuff. That's what is kind of spread. Then a bunch of other little tests that occur in those first 3 weeks. But Hell Week is really a quick review of those first 3 weeks. So it's like 3 weeks of really tough training where usually half the class quits in those first 3 weeks. And then you go from like 120 people down to 60. Now you got 60 people going into Hell Week. And from that, it's typical. Half of the people will quit or get injured during Hell Week. And then you have 30 going through the rest of buds, which is more tactically oriented. You won't be running with boats anymore. You won't be doing log PT and things like that. You actually be learning tactical things like diving and shooting and land nav and patrolling and demo and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. But those first 4 weeks are a bitch. And that's where all the attrition typically is. You may fail some items in the latter phases, but usually bulk of the attrition happens in these first 4 weeks. And what makes them so hard is just you're trying to establish a team. But at first, it's really difficult because you have so many people. Boat crews change all the time. Unless you're boat crew one or boat crew last, the shortest people or the tallest people, usually their boat crews don't change that much, but everybody in the middle has a challenge of getting new people in and people getting dropped and failing something and quitting. So these boat crews constantly change. So it's hard to have some consistency, in these first 4 weeks. So it requires some leadership. It requires some teamwork. It requires followership, working together as a team in order to get through these type of challenging training that is pretty much nonstop throughout the week. You get some rest every meal. That's a little trick they say is make it to the next meal. You'll hear countless SEALs, former SEALs, say, just make it to the next meal. Make it through this evolution. Make it to the next evolution. So there's just ways to take this 120-hour week and turn it into bite-size applications so it's easier to consume versus on Sunday night when you realize this thing isn't going to be over till Friday and you're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel because it's a very long tunnel. You're not going to see any light. So you got to see that light at, all right, midnight, we get to eat. 6 a.m., we get to eat. Noon, we get to eat. And just bite your way through the week. Chow to chow to chow. As one of the SEALs on the recent post I just posted on Instagram stated. But the biggest thing is, as a student, you have to understand it is not your job to decide who stays and who goes. You are primarily focused on your boat crew and how best your boat crew can perform. Whether that is rearranging people for their strengths and weaknesses to make it as fast as possible. And there may be some guys in your boat crew that are just really good dudes, but they have a bad knee and they're slowing you down. You don't kick them. If they're good dudes, you don't kick them and make them get out of your boat so you get somebody with fresh knees in there. No. You're only as fast as your slowest person. And if you happen to lose a few races, big deal. Suck it up. Be a man. So you get a little extra buds. Everybody gets extra buds. Everybody gets under the light of the instructors, one-on-one or 5 instructors on one, and you got to just show them, hey, you're not going to quit. You're going to do better. And there's no reason, you need to show the instructors that you're serious about this, and your teammates too, under the boat, especially and under a log, that you're going to be just as strong as everybody else and help the boat crew be better. And I tell this to people all the time, you can't get faster, between now and when Hell Week starts. You can't get stronger between now and when Hell Week starts. You can only get tougher, right? And the biggest thing you need besides teamwork is fuel. Fuel to get through each day. That means eat as much as you can at every meal. Carbs, fat, protein, high calorie dense food, and electrolytes. You need the salts. And just fuel up for the next event, because that's the way it works. All right, so now who's ready to hear the 2 little things that you can do to drop a minute off your CSS? All right, so got a few comments over here, no questions yet, so let's start here. There's one question: how many buds classes are there in a year? To my knowledge, it's 4 or 5. I could be wrong. Maybe 6. Not sure, but it's somewhere in that area. All right, so 2 quick things you can do. And these are kind of dependent on where you are on the spectrum of swimming. Some of you guys already know this, and it may not apply to you. So if you're swimming in board shorts, kind of new to swimming, this is really geared towards non-swimming athletes. So let's say you're wearing baggy board shorts. If you change those board shorts and make them like a jammer or like a real swimsuit that's no pockets, tight, form-fitting, I wouldn't say a Speedo, but just get jammers. That's what most guys swim in. You will see, on average, a 20-second drop in... I don't know what happened, but my my camera got shut down. Let me see if I can get it going again. So, all right. So, sorry about that. I don't know why my camera was lost, but it was. Let's see if we can get it running over here on Instagram again. That just sucks. All right, we're back. Jammers. So, replacing your jammers with replacing your board shorts with jammers. That will save 20 seconds on average. I've seen it happen dozens of times just in this last year alone. The other one, this is a big one, and I'm shocked at how this can drop 40 seconds off your time. And I wrote an article probably beginning of this year called "To Pull Out or Not: The CSS Debate." And it's an article that you can find. You Google that. In fact, I'll put it in the comment section here. CSS debate: to pull out or not. All right, kind of a clickbaity title, but that's okay. It's kind of fun. So if you're not good at the pullout, meaning when you kick off that wall, you do a double arm pull, and that may be pretty good. You get another body length and a half off the wall, and then you come up, but you notice that you just stop dead in your tracks in the middle of the pool, and you got to recreate all that momentum. Where the goal of kicking off that wall is not to lose momentum, meaning speed. So if you're stopping in the middle of the pool, you probably need to just take out the pull out altogether and just kick off the wall, go as far as you can, super streamline, and just come up for your first breath. Here's what happens. One, you get an extra breath per length. In a 25-yard pool, that's 20 extra breaths in a 500-yard swim. That matters. Two, you never lose momentum, so you never lose time and speed, and you're actually faster versus the pull out, the transition, and all that. You're just getting tired and slow, typically. And then later in the swim, you're so winded that you just skip the pull out altogether. My advice is take it out. Don't need it, especially if you're not good at it. And I will say at least the last 10 people in probably the last 3 months who were bad at it dropped anywhere between 30 and 45 seconds from their 500-yard swim time by just skipping it. So those two alone, if you wear board shorts and you suck at the pull out, change your board shorts to jammers, take out the pull out, you'll drop a minute off your 500-yard swim time. Seen it happen multiple times. And it's fun to watch because people are just shocked by it. Because, in my own fault, I've been teaching the pull out for years. But I've also been personally teaching take it out because you're not good at it and it's just wasting time. You don't really add another stroke, but you get an extra breath. Who cares, right? No big deal. We got a lot of questions here before we go into some CSS critique videos. I don't think I have very many, but I may wind up pulling up some others. So how tall are you? How much did you weigh before going into buds? I am 6 feet. On a good day, first thing in the morning, about 6 feet and a half, maybe 6'1" with a pair of shoes on. But when I was going through buds, I weighed 195. I think whenever I got to buds, I was like 205. And by the time I graduated, I weighed 195. A lot leaner. So a lot faster. Got faster towards the end as well. So that's my height and weight. Somebody asked earlier about buds classes. It changes every year, to be honest with you. Not every year, every so often. Sometimes there's 5, sometimes there's 6. Just depends on when one starts and when one finishes. May even be 4. Hey Stu, non-swimming athlete who wants to be a PJ besides master swim or water polo, what would you recommend to become a fish in the water? My advice is swim as much as you can. I mean, I try to get SEAL candidates and at least non-swimming athletes who are SEAL candidates, PJ candidates, recon candidates to swim 5-6 days a week, right? Whether that's a master's swimming class or a water polo workout, doesn't matter. What we do with our swim workouts is, workouts like this in here, Air Force Special Warfare. Before every swim, it's a tread to warm up or a 500 to warm up, depending on which one you need to work on the most. Then you do this workout, whether a bunch of over-unders, some 50-50 swims in there, freestyle CSS, sprint recovery type workouts. And then at the end, whatever you didn't do for your warm-up, you do for the cool down. So if you opted to swim 500 yards for your warm-up, you owe 10 minutes of treading for your cool down. Now you can also, every set, you can do a variety of things like resting with bottom bounces or floats or treading no hands. Those are great ways to incorporate all the pool skills you need in normal workouts. That's how I set mine up, and it has worked for so many Even on mobility days, we do drown proofing workouts, to go through the whole series of drown proof and treading workouts. Yeah, it's how we do it. So tied to the above, how would you break up your weekly training with swimming between masters and water polo? What should a yardage be in a week? That's a good question. Doesn't really matter. You don't need a masters workout and you don't need a water polo workout. Both are good ways to get in your mileage. Now, I will say this. Masters swimmers probably swim more mileage than you need each week. I would say COPJ specifically, you guys need probably, I don't know, 10,000 meters a week, maybe 12, 15's not bad. But I think if you're going any more than that, you're really spending a lot of time in the water just swimming laps versus maybe swim 10,000 and get another hour, spread throughout the week of treading and pool skills and, a couple hours, things like that. So I usually do this. I usually equate 500 meters of swimming with 10 minutes of treading. So whichever one you want to add or need to add, that's how I do it. So let's say, in a swimming workout with the masters, you're probably going to get 25, sometimes 30,000 a week, probably a little too much, depending on the masters group. At least the masters where we are, they're swimming at least 20,000 yards a week or meters a week. I don't think you need that much. I think you need half that much and then spend the rest of the time practicing all the pool skills, whether that's water polo practice or it's treading and bottom bouncing and underwater swimming and all that stuff. So, but yeah, 5-6 days a week. Joe, additionally, what strokes should we have down pat if we want to absolutely crush Air Force A&S? For non-swimming athletes, 3 to 4 years of masters swimming, water polo be enough for selection? Yeah, that's plenty. I mean, look at this. I know plenty of people who've never been on a masters team or water polo team and get through these trainings no problem. But you need to put in the time to do that. 3 or 4 years is plenty of time. Even if you didn't do that, if you're just swimming on your own, it's plenty of time. So for you guys, it's freestyle, CSS, breaststroke. I think all three are useful tools for you. Egg beater, treading, scissor kicking, treading with fins and weight. All of those are going to be needed throughout various stages, whether it's A&S or dive school. Might as well learn it. You're also going to have to learn the lead arm, trail arm, swimming with fins version. In fact, I'll show you a difference here in a little bit. I got a couple of TikTok and YouTube short videos that show the difference between the CSS and the LATA version of the side stroke that the Air Force uses. You need to know both of those. So that's where I would go. All right, let's see. Stu in the PT pyramid. I'm in doubt. Let's say I'm failing at the top 10. That's okay. I mean, a lot of people fail earlier than that. So good job making it all the way to 10. My advice is this. Whatever you fail at, most people fail at pull-ups at set 10 or maybe even set 9. My advice is this. Do the entire set as best you can. And let's say you're on that 10th set. You got to get 10 reps and you only get 8. You have a choice. You can change the grip, go reverse grip, see if you can get the other 2. Typically that works. If that doesn't work and you still owe 2 or 3 reps, my advice is to do an easier version. Do a negative, do a jumping pull-up where you jump yourself up over the bar and come down slow like a 5-second negative. You do assisted pull-ups with bands. You do pull-downs or rows or bicep curls. Whatever you need to do to finish that set with 2 to 3 reps, that's what you do, right? And then try to come back down. Now, you may fail on the way back down as well because 9, 8, 7's not easy, especially on the pull-up side or push-ups times 2 even. So do as best you can. Whatever you leave on the table, come back for it with a different option. Different grip, easier option, TRX rows even, Australian pull-ups where your feet are on the floor the whole time. So that's how I would do it. Will flip turns make you faster? Yes, you're swimming freestyle, but you can't do flip turns for the PST, for the Navy. Anyway, in fact, I don't think you can do flip turns for the Air Force either. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think flip turns, you have to do open turns. Thoughts on running in boots versus tennis shoes during training? You know what? It used to be a big deal, right? It used to, in my day, you probably wanted to do at least 50% of your runs in boots and 50% in tennis shoes because boots back then sucked. I mean, we were using Vietnam era jungle boots in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Eventually, they turned to the Bates boot, which were better, and now they're the, if you're going to Buds, you get the Nike Combat Gen 2, which are really like running shoes that look like boots. So I will tell you this, I don't think it matters anymore just because those boots are so good. Now, sometimes it's just not feasible to run in boots. I personally like running in tennis shoes more. We run in boots on sand. We run in boots on trails, just for ankle support. But usually when we're running on concrete or a track, everybody's got running shoes on, not boots. So let that kind of be your reasoning for running in boots. Unstable ground, running boots, better ankle support. Running on concrete or track or flat ground, running shoes. 50%, 50-50. But really, it really doesn't matter anymore because those boots that you have at Buds now, Nike Combat Gen 2, are, in my mind, as close to a running shoe as you can get that looks like a boot. Pull out all the way, hella more momentum. Yeah, I mean, it comes with a price, but I agree. I think it's faster if you're good at the pullout. If you're not good at the pullout and you suck at recovering out of the pullout, it's slower. Problem I have during the pullout is after the double arm pull, what kick should I use to go back into streamline? Scissor kick, flutter kick, breaststroke. Going to drop the pullout today and also try this. All right, so yeah, give it a try. Maybe try a 250, see where you are, right? Or do a whole 500. It doesn't really matter. Just curious if you notice a difference in your pace. My advice is this. Do the kick that you're good at doing. A lot of non-swimming athletes aren't good at a breaststroke kick. They're better at the scissor kick. So my advice is when you get out of that pullout and you kick and recover, I do a scissor kick because I'm better at scissor kick than I am breaststroke kick. I've gotten better at breaststroke kick, but it's just a natural thing for me to do scissor kick. I just feel better at it. So I use a scissor kick with it. But it really is up to you, whichever's good for you. If you're better at breaststroke, then use breaststroke kick. How important is strength when it comes to Buds? What would a minimum bench or squat max hit? I wrote this article called The Assessment Tool. In fact, did a podcast with Jeff Nichols on it too. And if you look at this article, you will see, I'm going to put it in the comment section, you will see what I recommend for that type of strength demands, or what's good enough, what's strong enough to be a good Bud student, right? You don't need to be a world-class power lifter, but you can't not lift either, right? It's just you have to have some form of strength, whether that is baling hay all summer and you got some farm strength, work strength, that's sufficient. But you got to have some strength. Strength is absolutely critical for overall durability, especially these first 4 weeks that I just mentioned. Carrying logs, carrying boats, carrying people, running in the sand, doing lots of lunges with a log. I mean, all of those things are needed. I would say strength is mandatory for durability, and muscle stamina and endurance is mandatory for your ability to work and not fail all the time or quickly recover from failing. That's the difference between doing a whole bunch of 5x5s and saying, I'm strong. Well, you still need to run, ruck, swim, and do high rep calisthenics. So it's a little bit different. So read that article that I just posted up there called Physical Assessment Tools to Get To and Through Selection. And if you see some of the things, I like to recommend for the weights, weighted pull-ups, 25 pounds, 15 plus. Body weight bench, 15 plus. Deadlift, 1.5 to 2 times your body weight, 1 to 5 times. So if you're a 200-pound dude, anywhere between 300 and 400 pounds, 5 times. Shuttle run, 60 seconds or less. Long jump, I think I have it 85 seconds, 85 to 90 inches. Squats, 1.5 times body weight, 5 reps or more. So 200-pound guy, 300-pound squat, 5 reps. Easy day. Even hang clean, 7.75 to 1.0 body weight, 5 to 10 reps. That's some good strength. It's not overbearing. It's not world class by any means, but it's strong. Strong enough. That'll get you in there. Plus, I got scores for calisthenics. I got scores for runs, scores for swims, and then there's a couple of workouts I'd highly recommend getting used to because it simulates log PT, simulates running loaded, all of that. Okay, Joe says, truly last question. How rare is it that seeing guys in their mid to late 30s succeed at Army, SF, and PJ pipelines? It's common. Working with some guys right now, have worked with guys in their late 30s, early 40s, got through selection. So it's common. In fact, I went to a SF selection a few years ago, and I think the oldest guy was 42. And they had a whole bunch of late 30s guys in there too. Somebody says tips for treading water with no hands. My advice is look at my treading and mobility article. So treading might be a mobility issue for you. So check out this article here. And if you Google treading water in my name, you'll see a couple videos on how I teach it. What tendonitis recovery regimen has worked best for you over the years? You know, I've had tendonitis before, multiple times. Knees, elbows, shoulder. Those are probably the biggest. Rest, ice, compression, and try to find other ways to move it. So if, like, say it's an elbow, right? It hurts to push, but it doesn't hurt to pull, or vice versa, right? You can still do pushing exercises, but you probably need to lay off the pulling exercises. Or if regular pull-ups hurt, see if changing the grip to reverse grip will still allow you to do pull-ups. So you got to find ways to work around it, but primarily focus on rest, because you can figure some of these things out depending on what tendon it is. It may affect ability to push, pull, grip, move your shoulder overhead, move your shoulder forward, move your shoulder down. You might be able to work through some of these things depending on which tendon it is. But primarily massage, compression are probably my number 1 and number 2. Ice is just for immediate comfort. But primarily just keep moving. Anti-inflammatories, also good. Advice for triathlon training. Run, swim, and bike. That's what I would do if I was working on a triathlon. In fact, I've written a couple articles on triathlon training. And in fact, I use triathlon training mindset and model to prepare for buds. A long time ago, before I was a good runner, I knew I needed to work on my cardio more than my strength, coming from a powerlifting background. So I did biking, swimming, and running. So 2/3 of my cardio was non-impact cardio. So if you're a bigger guy trying to lose some weight, something I would recommend. Trying to get in better cardio shape, that is something I would recommend versus just putting on more mileage with that kind of weight on. It's kind of like if you're 20, 30 pounds overweight or big uh, before you go, it's kind of like rucking all the time. So think of it that way. You guys got some good questions today. Other than CSS, what would you recommend training for water for San Diego, EOD, summer training, and JDO schools? I would get in freestyle. I think freestyle is a great way to train, gets your lungs going. Mix in some skip breathing, 6 to 8 strokes per breath, really gets the heart rate up there, makes you uncomfortable. Practice underwater swimming, but more technique based, not distance. If you're out there in San Diego, there's some water fitness programs out there, like Deep End Fitness. Check those out. Those are pretty cool training programs where they run on the bottom with weights and do all this teamwork relay drills, and that may be helpful. But I would definitely tread and swim. Treading is probably the one thing most people neglect, and they wish they didn't once they're in the middle of going through selection. I don't know what the snail kick is. So when you ask me about snail kick, I don't know what it is. I will tell you this, if I've never heard of it, not that it doesn't exist, it's like maybe you got a new name for it that I've never heard of. All right, success rate for enlisted SEAL right now is less than 1%. I don't believe that. Does it make sense to first go to Ranger Bat for 4 years and then try SEALs? No, it doesn't make sense to do that. My advice is be ready for buds. It is not less than 1%. That's insane. So you telling me you got 100 guys go to buds and only one's going to graduate? That is not living in reality. It's probably 50%, maybe. But it's nowhere near 1%. My advice is, if you want to be a Ranger, go to Ranger Bat. If you want to go to buds, find some realistic stats, because that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Your videos and prep book have helped me a lot with swimming and prep. Didn't know how to swim and learned to be a proficient pretty quickly. Good job. That works well. Citrus says, really, I was practicing flip turns, but I wasn't getting any faster, but I thought I was doing them wrong. Jake said, practice flip turns for the PST. Jake's got a lot of advice. Doesn't mean it's right. Let's see. What do you think? Practicing flip turns are harder than grabbing the side of the pool, huffing and puffing a couple of times, and then turning and going. So I understand why somebody would recommend practice flip turns, but you can't use flip turns in the PST. You can practice and make the swimming harder, absolutely. What do you think about barefoot running? Does it have place in training for buds? Well, I will tell you this. I don't do it. Now, I have some minimalist running shoes that they say is barefoot running. But I wouldn't run barefoot unless I have turf or really good grass. There's a couple places where we will do barefoot running on the grass, at the Naval Academy, but it has to be a pretty pristine area for me to run on my bare feet, knowing that there's no rocks or glass or things that can cut me, because next thing I know, if I get a cut with stitches, I'm not running anymore. So I treat it like that. I don't treat it like hey, this is the best way to run because that's the way caveman run. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so speaking of names that we'd never heard of, burpees, didn't they used to be the squat thrust back in the 80s? Well, long before the 80s. Actually, World War II, they were squat thrusts, too. Let's see. I've been dealing with some forearm tendonitis. I think I tweaked it while I was moving a few years ago. Gives me problems doing push-ups sometimes. Going to have to try some ice and compression. Yeah, good luck with that. You know, if it's been a few years, you probably got some damage in there that might be beyond tendonitis. But yeah, try some of those things. Try a little wrap at the bottom. Yep. Last question, then I'm going to show some videos. Best drills, tips for newer swimmers. What I want you to do is go to a workout article I wrote called the 50-50. The name of the article is called the 50-50 Workout. Crush the swim test in less than a month. One, you got to learn how to swim, so there's some technique involved, which I'm about to show you in some videos. But read this article, do this workout. I promise you, you'll get faster. All right, let's see. Got a couple things I want to show. I'm going to show you guys a YouTube short, a couple of YouTube shorts that I have, and then I got to call it a day. So let me share my YouTube channel with you guys. So this is my YouTube channel, Stu Smith 182. These are my shorts. So got a couple of different shorts in here. I like. Oh, this is the pull out or not short. Let me show you this one.
Hey everybody, Stu Smith.
I'm going to hang on a sec. Let me.
Hey everybody, Stu Smith. Another
make
CSS
sure I got.
And here's a good kick off the wall.
Well, if I'm talking in there, I'm sorry.
Hey everybody, Stu
guys, check
Smith,
this out. So kick
off
off the wall.
Here's a good kick off
top
the wall
arm,
without
bottom arm,
the breaststroke
kick glide.
pull
That's
out,
how you skip
I think
the
this
pull
is going
out.
to be better for him. Be honest with you, his breaststroke pull out wasn't helping him, making him winded and making him lose momentum.
Let's see here.
But now, take a look at what happens when you take it out. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You get an extra breath.
Let's see how this one looks.
You're faster.
Oh, yep.
Top arm.
So he skipped it. I think if you watch this video to pull out or not, you'll see
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Nice.
You'll see a difference.
Good. I mean, this is a sub 8 minute pace swim now.
Him doing the pull out
swimming around
and him not doing the pull out
flat. So
and the way I test it is test it without it for a 50. See where you are. Then test it with it for 50. See where you are. What's that time?
The breaststroke
right, and that time's sufficient, even if it's 2 or 3 seconds.
Be honest with you,
per lap. That makes a big difference when you got
winded and making them lose momentum.
When you got 10 laps to do.
Take a look at what happens when you take it out.
20, 30, 40 seconds.
You don't have to worry about it anymore. You get an extra.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Shorts. There's another one I wanted to show you guys about the CSS with fins, lead arm, trail arm.
Hey,
so once again, we got some swimming with fins here.
Critique of the CSS
at the top,
plus another spec
that's the CSS at the bottom.
Swimming stroke called the
it's the lead arm, trail arm. You see the difference?
LATA or
there's just no you moving that bottom arm
with fins,
and it's just constant flutter kicks.
Primarily.
Same thing as the top.
And the
it's constant flutter kicks, but you can pull that top arm, bottom arm when you need to breathe.
Both are used throughout
that's
the
difference between
programs.
The CSS
it's really preference
with fins.
Both of them are highly effective. And the underwater recovery strokes,
lead arm, trail arm with fins.
Swimming with fins and long distance swimming.
Extra letters.
Hey everybody, Stu Smith here. Another critique of the CSS plus another spec op.
All right, let's see. If you want to see, that's my dog. All right, so here's a perfect CSS. How about that?
Hey,
we show some perfect CSS. Oh, this is one of my favorite guys. He's just this guy kills like a 7-minute flat, no problem.
100-yard combat
top arm,
stroke,
bottom arm, kick,
swim.
Hold that glide. Notice he's doing a breaststroke kick, not a scissor kick.
so fast
He's just better at breaststroke
for a
kicking.
non-swimming athlete that
Turn
I just
around
have
and go.
to show it up here and
Super
just watch it. Look
streamline.
at that
That's the
That's
key.
number
He
one.
likes the
Then a
breaststroke
powerful
pullout.
arm
It
pull,
works for
and
him
then even a
because
more
he does each
powerful
one of these
kick
laps in about
leads to
42
this
seconds,
kind
which
of
you
speed
extrapolate that out for
that's
500
allowing
yards.
him to
He's got a
glide for
7-minute
nearly
swim. And
4
usually he
seconds
coasts
every
in at about a
stroke.
7:15,
And
7:20.
this pace right here is
So
going
he's
to be
freaking really good swimmer.
under
So I would
7
call this
minutes
a
if he
perfect
would
CSS. If
hold
you
it
like doing
out
the
for
pullout, add it.
a
If it
full
makes you slower,
500-yard
take it
swim.
out.
Now,
all right, let's see what else we got here. Master your pace.
hey everybody, Stu Smith with another CSS critique here, and here's a good kick off the wall, transitions nicely, top arm, bottom arm kick.
You know what? I will say this. Somebody asked, seems like guys who do breaststroke is faster than the guys that do scissor. Well, we'll tell you this.
Two Mississippi pull.
Typically
nice,
speaking,
like this is fast
guys that
too.
do breaststroke have some swimming training with them. Guys that do scissor kick come from land athletes with no swimming.
I like it.
I mean, I have taught people
my
how to
advice
swim.
would be actually slow it
I teach
down on your
scissor
first
kick if
few
they're a
laps
land
when you
athlete.
take a 500-yard swim.
And then if they're a swimmer, I say you got a choice. You can do breaststroke or scissor kick.
42-second 50, but my advice
is a good
slow it down to about 50
scissor kick.
seconds.
Guy taught
and
swimming as
maintain
well.
that pace, and you'll wind up being a minute faster in the 500
so really
because
good.
you didn't start off too fast.
So anyway, you guys go to my YouTube channel. You'll see a whole bunch of videos over there. Sign up. You'll get a notification that I'm live here when I do go live. If you subscribe, Jeff Nichols and I just did a podcast last week on fatigue resistance. It's pretty good. Check that out. But there's a whole bunch of videos here. I guess I got like 800 of them. 866 videos over there. A lot of them are CSS videos. Now, I also, if you guys want to see something that is more focused on CSS, this is all I have over here, is CSS and swimming videos over on TikTok. So some guys send me videos and it's not the CSS, right? More like a side stroke maybe. So check out these. You got tons of ideas over here at the Instagram. And then, on my reels at Instagram, I usually post a lot of the same content that I post on TikTok as well. So if you have Instagram, go to my reels. Lots of CSS videos over there. All right, folks. If for some reason I missed your question, just send it to me by email. You can email me at this email address right here. You guys can see it, stu@stewsmith.com. Just going right by this little banner. Check out stewsmithfitness.com. You'll see a whole bunch of books, more articles. You can search those articles because there's over 1,000 of them. And you can save 15% by using the Live15 coupon code. So I appreciate your time. You guys have a good weekend. Pray for the boys going through Hellweek. They make it through there because a lot of it is just luck and prayers that they don't get sick or injured. And remember, if you can't get stronger, you can't get faster. All you can do is get tougher. Sometimes that's the way it works. So good luck to everybody. You guys have a good one.